The St. Louis Blues defeat the Coyotes, and I have to tell you, this means that this homestand was successful, which I doubted only for a little bit because of the loss to the Jets. I'm going to talk about what this all means coming up here on Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I have to tell you, today's episode is definitely going to be a fun one as the St. Louis Blues defeated the Coyotes, which I will get into. Are We Feeling Blue, which is my favorite Friday segment that I do here. It's a recurring theme that we do on the show every single Friday where I ask you if you're feeling blue. So if you're having a good or bad week with the Blues. And it's going to be a bumpy season ahead. What exactly does that mean for the St. Louis Blues? Don't worry, I will explain coming up here on Locked On Blues today. I want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Jase Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jase case, providing you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50 plus infections. Get yours today at jasemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. All right, folks. The news is in. The St. Louis Blues won 3 out of 4 games in their homestands after a 2-1 victory over the Arizona Coyotes last night. Now, what did I think about this game? I could tell you quite a bit about this game, but I think overall this game definitely proved that the St. Louis Blues might just be a little bit better than I gave them credit for. This game at first was a little bit chippy. It was a little bit more, I personally thought Arizona dominant, despite the fact that the Blues had more shots on net, despite the fact that the Blues have, I personally still think this. I think they have better talent. Now, I said this all along, do not underestimate Arizona. They're a team that actually can play really good hockey. And I think the problem is we have these preconceived notions sometimes of different teams in the league. Teams that we just assume will always be good, teams that we will assume that will be bad. But that's not how it goes. At the end of the day, it is all about the better team of that night. So yes, I do believe that the St. Louis Blues played a better game last night. I'm not going to come on here and say, oh, well, the Coyotes suck, because they don't suck. The Coyotes are actually a good team this season, and they're a team that deserves respect. And respect doesn't mean you have to like a team, right? You can still dislike the Coyotes. You can still think they can move to Atlanta, but you can still respect the fact that they're a much better team than they were in previous seasons. With that being said, let me tell you about the game last night and how our boy Robert Thomas saved the day yet again. So in the first period, with only 2 minutes in, Oscar Sundqvist scored a goal, giving the Blues a 1-0 lead, which I did talk about on yesterday's episode of Locked On Blues as I did the first intermission report. Unfortunately, later in the second period, the Coyotes were able to equalize the game at 1 apiece. Well, in this second period, Robert Thomas had himself a beautiful goal 6 minutes in, assisted by Pavel Buchnevich and Torrey Krug. This is Torrey Krug's second assist of the season, so he's making himself a lot more known, which is actually very surprising. He did get the second star of the game, which if you told me that like a month ago, I would not believe you, because like, oh wait, Torrey Krug is actually showing up. Well, yes, he is. I was so happy with this performance by the Blues. This was a much needed win. Another thing is that Joel Hofer was in net, and he saved 19 out of 20 shots that the Coyotes took last night. The Blues ended up ending the night with 33 shots on net. And one thing about this Blues team that really impressed me was how dominant they were with the faceoffs. I don't have the exact statistic, right? But I can tell you that the St. Louis Blues took these face-offs to a whole new level. They were more aggressive, and that's what got them the puck possession. And ultimately, that's what made them the better team at the end of the 60 minutes. Now, how many points do the Blues have? What does this mean? Well, the St. Louis Blues now have 13 points. They're 6-5-1, okay? They are above the Coyotes now, who are 6-6-1. But the Blues have 13 points. They are, again, the fourth team in the Central. Above the Blues is the Winnipeg Jets with 16 points, the Colorado Avalanche with 16 points, and the Dallas Stars with 17 points. All right. So let's ask ourselves a question. Realistically here with the St. Louis Blues, are they a team that's just going to end up being the fourth to the sixth team in the Central this season? They very well could be. But despite the fact that they're fourth, if they just win a couple more games and then they kind of hope for the downfall a little bit of the Winnipeg Jets and the Colorado Avalanche, then the Blues could actually climb their way up. The Central, despite the fact that it is a tough division, you have a lot of good components, especially the Dallas Stars. When I say that, I said all along that I thought they were a cup contending team before the season begun, and I actually have them winning the cup. I think the Blues do have a good chance that they keep on winning and pushing themselves to potentially be a wild card team. Another interesting thing about last night's game that I do want to touch on is that the Blues really controlled their penalty minutes. They only had 4, while the Coyotes had 14 penalty minutes, which is an insane amount of penalty minutes. But even in the first period, the Coyotes had 4 penalty minutes. Now, Robert Thomas, let's face it, he is our guy. This is why it's Robert Thomas season. He had a hooking penalty called against him for hooking none other than hometown kid himself, Clayton Keller. But at the end of the day, things happen. The Coyotes ended up scoring on that. And I can't necessarily say, hey, Robert Thomas almost cost us the game when he did get the Blues the winning goal. So I feel as if Robert Thomas knew that, hey, I kind of messed up a little bit here. I shouldn't have given that penalty away, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's fine because RT was able to get the Blues a victory. So let's go talk about the St. Louis Blues for a second, as we are. But let's go take a deeper look into this team. How many points does Robert Thomas have now? Because he is leading the team in almost everything that's least good. RT has 11 points with 6 goals and 5 assists. You heard that right, folks. Robert Thomas has more goals than assists. Is this real? Yes, it is. I said all along that Robert Thomas needed to improve when it came to getting goals instead of just making those plays. And while assists are good, it's good to set up goals, obviously, but he needs to be a little bit more selfish on ice in a good way. Being selfish on ice is not always a bad thing, and I have been seeing that. Now, it's funny because so RT has 11 points. Jordan Kyrou has only 6, and then Kapanen has 6, and then it just goes down from there. So I think the other guys on the team need to step up quite a bit because it is not that good to have one guy with 11 points and everybody else is between 6, 4, and we have a lot of 3s and 2s and 1s. So not that great. But I also want to touch on the fact that the Blues have the worst power play in the NHL. They're ranked 32 out of 32 when it comes to their power play. It is absolutely awful. I have said this all along. This is this team's biggest downfall is this power play. They need to get it under control because it is not pretty. The NHL actually posted a tweet today, and let's go read what the tweet said because I thought it was quite funny. What does your team need to do to win the Stanley Cup? So on my Twitter account at Haley T. Simon, I said, better power play unit. And then on the Locked On Blues account, I said, this feels personal. Well, yes, because the power play unit, it's not good. It is not acceptable. And I think for the St. Louis Blues, if they want to be a serious team, a contending team, they need to take control of this power play unit. You see them on ice, they just send the puck deep and they don't do anything with it. They need to be more aggressive. I don't know if it's they need to switch up, the lines a little bit on this unit. I don't know exactly what it is. I don't have the answers. but I can say that it's actually more detrimental for them to be on the power play than it is for them to be shorthanded. So I think if the Blues get that under control, I will feel better. But again, it all comes back to that defense, and it is not pretty, I can tell you that. Before I talk about my favorite Friday segment, I need to tell you about Parkview Advance. As a business owner, you realize that there are times when receivables might fall behind, but that doesn't mean you need to fall behind on vendor payments, payroll, or rent. For more than 25 years, Parkview Advance has helped businesses secure working capital from $5,000 to $1.5 million. Parkview Advance can help your working capital in as little as 24 hours. It's a much easier process than you might imagine. We invite the many entrepreneurs that are locked on NHL fans to learn more by calling us at 203-675-0071 or go to parkviewadvance.com. If your business needs working capital, call Parkview Advance today. Parkview Advance, helping businesses with their working capital. Go to parkviewadvance.com. Every single Friday, I do a segment called Are We Feeling Blue? It is a time where I ask you on Twitter at Locked On Blues how you felt about this week of Blues hockey. So this is my absolute favorite, and I can't express this enough, my favorite thing to do here in Locked On Blues. But before I get into that, I just want to let you know about something that I do enjoy. And it's all about collective. So let's do this. If you run a solo small business, you're in an army of one. But if you still need a CPA, bookkeeper, separate payroll solution, and more, let Collective take care of the paperwork while you take care of business. Collective knows that your business of one that makes over $80,000 a year, you will find the most value from their services. Join the thousands of solos today, and that saved an average of $10,000 per year on taxes with their structure. Right now, Collective is offering a 1 month free and no onboarding fee when you go to collective.com/LockedOnNHL and tell them Locked On NHL sent you. That's a $550 value for free when you go to collective.com/LockedOnNHL and tell them Locked On NHL sent you. That's collective.com/LockedOnNHL and tell them Locked On NHL sent you. Okay, it's just time for Are We Feeling Blue? So I asked you on Twitter, was this a good week for the St. Louis Blues? Hundreds of you have voted. 65% of you said yes. 6% of you said no. And 27% of you said in between. Well, 27%. So let's go see what you have to say about it, St. Louis. Charlie said, maintaining a winning record at home. That might be the best we can ask for from this particular squad. Charlie, I agree with you. I think that the Blues need to find small victories within themselves, and I think maintaining that winning record at home definitely gives them that. Nick says, gotta say yes, but our power play is a disgrace. It doesn't get better soon. We're all going to bound to start losing a good amount of games. The math doesn't add up to have us this bad of a percentage on the power play, especially when we have specialists like Torrey Krug that signed solely for that reason. Exactly. And that's what I touched on when I said about the defense. It does refer to Torrey Krug. I am so frustrated with him. I am frustrated with how he's been playing. I am frustrated with how this power play looks. And if it doesn't get better soon, then you're right, Nick. The Blues are going to lose games that they shouldn't be losing. It is not okay. It is not enjoyable. And I think that it does need to get under control sooner rather than later, because very soon it's going to just be a bigger problem than it is now. And luckily, the Blues are able to still win some of these games. But at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to win if the power play is this bad. Nathan says, great nothing, some wins, and the belt of in between, because we had the worst power play in the league, and the Krug situation seems to be getting worse. Curious to see if some missed time or healthy scratches will motivate him to lift a no-trade clause so they can move him. P.S. Big Krug fan. All right. I wouldn't be upset if he was a healthy stretch. Despite the fact that he has been getting a couple assists, and I mean literally 2, I don't see much of him on defense. And that's what he's here for. He's here for the power play. And it's one of those things where you have to realistically look at him and say, okay, is he helping or hurting the team? And right now, I don't think he's helping whatsoever. I think that this whole situation easily could have been prevented. I understand. He did not want to go to Philadelphia. But he could have also said, hey, would you try moving me to any of these other teams? A lot of players that have these no trade clauses, they do have certain teams that they would be willing to go to. So with Torrey, I'm hoping that. I don't think Boston would take him back right now. I think it's a little bit too late for that. But it is interesting to think about, okay, well, what team would Torrey want to go to? But also, what team would he go to that could benefit the Blues? I think that this is a situation where the Blues need to get something out of him. He was here to help with the power play. He was here to be a really good veteran defender, and he has yet to show any signs of that. So if a team is interested in him, maybe, just maybe, he will go if he realizes that he's not going to win the cup here in St. Louis. Because I can tell you this right now, Locked On Blues folks, the Blues are not winning the cup this season. I mean, they might, but like realistically, let's be honest, I don't think so. Josh says, besides the power play being terrible, it was a great week. Perfect way to sum it up. Power play sucks. Week was good. And then Goofball says, honestly, this whole season has felt in between so far. We've been in a pattern of winning and losing every other game, back and forth. Okay, except this past weekend when the Blues defeated the Devils and Canadiens. That was a back-to-back win. A little surprising. I wasn't used to that, but I get what you mean. There doesn't seem to be any consistency with this team, and I think that's what's the most frustrating part about this team, especially with the excitement of when they play well. And then the next game, it's like, wait, do these guys even know what hockey is? Now, I am being a little bit dramatic. I'm being a little bit funny, but I am serious. And I think this is the biggest problem at the end of the day, is that I'm not sure if this team knows what consistency is. And I think that's the problem. They exert all of their energy into that one game that they have where they win. And the next game, if you've noticed, they always look slow. And that is, to me, a major, major problem. Okay. So that was all of your questions for this week. So thank you again. That is always at Locked On Blues. So we spend a lot of time together. We talk a lot. We get fired up together on wins and losses, who starts and who sits. And I'm thankful for that connection that we have. And today, I want our chat to be a little more personal. I just learned that you can get a 1-year supply of ED medications. You realize what that means? Bring on the extended travel, bring on the next natural disaster or supply chain issues. You're covered, my friend. You don't really have to worry whether or not you can refill your generics for Cialis or Viagra prescriptions. And this is possible because of our friends at Jase Medical. Go online right now at jasemedical.com to receive your 12-month supply and your daily medication. Remember to use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout for a discount as well. A verified customer has this to say about Jase. I am thankful for this service. Supply chain issues caused me to cut my pills in half to have it. I ordered most of my daily meds with a year's supply. I also ordered an antibiotic kit. I feel secure now. Prices are lower than local pharmacies. I highly recommend this for everyone. If you or someone you love would get some peace of mind by having a year's supply of any daily med, go to jasemedical.com to see if it's offered for you. Remember to use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your purchase. Okay, so what is going on with the Blues? I can tell you what's going on with the Blues. I don't know why I said that like so dramatically. What's going on with the Blues? Well, tomorrow night on 11/11, the Blues take on the Colorado Avalanche. Oh, no. I mean, yay. Oh, no, I don't feel good about this one. The Avalanche are a really good team. Obviously, the Blues just played the Avs, and, well, it's not going to be good. Now, okay, maybe I'm being a little bit harsh, but this is the second time these teams have played this season, and it will be in Denver at 8 p.m. So let's talk about it. Colorado is 8-4 with a really good team. Okay. The Avalanche won 4-1 in the last matchup. Kale is back. Oh, man. I don't like this. And then Mika Rantanen has 6 goals and 8 assists over the last 10 games. But don't get me started because Robert Thomas has 6 goals and 5 assists. And Kasperi Kapanen has 2 goals and 4 assists. Okay. Yeah, it's not going to be a good game for the Blues. But you know what? It is what it is. Oh, man. Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. I have to say, anything can happen. I think Binner's going to be in net for this one, obviously. Do I think the Blues lose? Yes. Do I think that they put up a good fight? Maybe. I don't know. It's not going to be a good game. The Avalanche are a better team. I just hope the Blues have somewhat of a good effort. And then on Tuesday, the Blues host the Tampa Bay Lightning. And then the Blues head out to take on the San Jose Sharks, who now have won 2 games. So that will be Thursday, the 16th. And then the Blues head out. This is like their little West Coast road trip. Then the Blues will head out to take on the Kings, then the Ducks, and then the Coyotes. I have to tell you, the Blues and Coyotes, they are actually 2 teams that have really good games against each other. So it's going to be Colorado Lightning and then their little West Coast trip. So it should be a fun time for St. Louis. Hopefully get some wins out there. I know you're thinking to yourself, this seems almost impossible for the Blues to win. Well, they could defeat the Sharks, okay? They could defeat the Ducks. They could. And the Coyotes, we'll see. This will be the first time, I believe, that the Blues and Coyotes will be in Arizona. So home crowd advantage for the Coyotes, which I do not like. Anyways, this was a really good week for the St. Louis Blues. I love talking to you all about Blues hockey. And until Monday, like always, let's go Blues.